Hi, and welcome to another episode of 20-Somethings TV. My name is Michael Sangiuliano. I'm joined here with Lionel, Macy, and Brian. And today we have some pretty hot topics that we're going to talk about. We're going to be talking about the passing of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsberg. We're going to be talking about the upcoming debate, which is happening tonight, and also how colleges are handling COVID. At all different levels, because we know that's something that's been ongoing for a few months now, and we want to talk about how things are being handled. So, like I said, to start off, we're going to be talking about RBG. She passed away just a couple weeks ago at the age of 87 from a courageous battle with pancreatic cancer. And she's someone who really fought for gender equality, women's rights, but now her seat's open. Who's going to fill it? There's a lot of questions that are going to be circulating around this topic and her death. So Macy, why don't you start us off?
Thank you, Michael. So basically, Ginsberg, like he said, was just an overall amazing person in the Supreme Court. And basically, she sadly passed away, and now they're trying to fill her spot. And Trump is already replacing Ginsberg and already has a nominee for her spot in the Supreme Court Justice, but refuses to meet with said nominee. If you're going to have someone fill her spot, then you need to have that conversation and state the concerns that are present. And I was just wondering, how do you guys feel about her being filled already and supposedly by a Republican?
Well, I think what is really being laid bare right now is just the extent to which our democratic institutions are able to be rigged and are able to be abused by groups of political power in this country. Certainly what's been getting a lot of buzz with this whole topic is that in President Obama's final year of his presidency, that when Justice Scalia, I believe, passed, that Obama wanted to nominate his own justice to replace them. But the Republicans, led by Mitch McConnell, blocked them. And Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina personally said that if in the next presidency, if he were to support a new justice being installed in the final year of a president, that he would be a hypocrite, and that to replay the video, as he says. So it's really offensive, really, and concerning for many Americans about the future of our democracy and the democratic institutions in this country, when our major politicians are so willing to be openly hypocritical about things like this. So I think it's a very concerning thing for many people.
Obviously, this is going to be an ongoing issue until the seat is filled. Like we said, tonight is the first debate. President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden, they're going to be having a debate. It's on at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And this topic will probably come up amongst many other topics. Lionel, I know you did some digging into maybe what's going to be going on tonight. If you want to share a little bit of that with us, that would be a great time.
Absolutely, Michael. Thank you very much. So tonight is a major event in American politics because we have the first head-to-head debate between bitter rivals, incumbent President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. Now, this is a very interesting time for American politics because on top of the turmoil that's still going on, we've seen from this summer with racial unrest in this country and the Black Lives Matter movement, there have been some fresh political incidents and scandals. For one, there was the death of RBG, as we were just discussing, and Trump's hasty attempt to replace her. But on top of that, this week, there's been a bombshell report from the New York Times, who had attained copies of Trump's tax returns, which he had previously refused to make public. And basically what they found was pretty shocking, but not surprising. That being that in the past 15 years, Trump had only paid taxes 5 of those 15 years. So he didn't pay taxes for 10 years. And when he did pay taxes, such as in 2017, the year he became president, he paid $750, which is a deeply shocking and offensive low amount for someone who claims to be such a rich and successful mogul, when he's really paying less than most working class Americans who are, living paycheck to paycheck. So that is certainly something we can expect to see in the debate tonight. On Joe Biden's side of the field, there are definitely concerns about the former vice president's health and his physical fitness to hold the highest office in the country. So that's something you can definitely expect Trump to be going after. Even though these are two old men who are both in their 70s, Biden's health is definitely an issue that the Republicans will be trying to push to make the former vice president look weak and unfit for office. Finally, another way in which Trump is disadvantaged going into this debate, on top of all the political baggage of the scandals surrounding him, is that according to national polling, Joe Biden currently leads the opinion polls with a national average of being 10 points higher than Trump, which is significantly higher than where Hillary Clinton was 4 years ago. So it's definitely going to be an interesting night politically. One thing I want to ask you guys is, first, do you guys plan on watching the debate? No pressure, be honest. And does it mean anything to you?
I am planning on watching the debate tonight. One of the things that I always have to remind myself is like the situation I am in, how I live my life, what I'm impacted by. Like the presidency, I don't exactly feel it. Like just how I live, I don't get the direct impacts of it. But then I have to remember that there are people who are in situations where if Biden wins or if Trump wins, it's going to greatly impact their day-to-day lives and things that happen. And you can't overlook that. Like I said, even though I don't really feel it directly, I'm aware that it's, really, really important for other people. And this really is make or break for a lot of people. And it's a lot of questions going around about what's going to happen and a lot of uncertainty. And now is the time to either kind of fix it or see how much we can kind of keep digging this hole.
I agree with Michael. I personally at first wasn't gonna watch the debate, but now like thinking about it, like during like what you're explaining to me and everything, I think like I might like take part in like watching it maybe a little bit after I come back from campus, because it doesn't affect me personally, like Michael said, like it can't really affect our lives sometimes, but there are people out there who are greatly affected, and it does matter in like the entirety of this country.
I think after this, like I feel like I might be watching the debate, because something happens only every 4 years, and like this is our chance to hear what these two leaders have to say on how to make our country USA better. But like one thing, like I mean, it doesn't affect me, the presidency, but what I am concerned is that how other people's gonna affect, because like I remember like the last 4 years, like everyone kind of got affected, because they're like, oh no, like you have this whole debate and like who we're gonna choose, like we can't tell which is which, because like it was like an even route, or like there was no time where it's like, oh, this one person is better than this. So it's like like we don't want to end up like how we experienced in 2016. Like we want like a good debate. Like we want to hear everyone's opinion about their politic issues, and just find the right one who's gonna help lead the country better.
And I think one more interesting thing to know, kind of something to ponder, and I read earlier this week and discussed about it at work, is how the $750 that Trump paid in taxes is just about the equivalent of a single person filing for taxes, making working a minimum wage job. Just let that sink in for a minute. But listen, politics aside, because sometimes I know this can kind of become a heavy topic, the next thing I'd like us to talk about is the pandemic, which honestly can probably tie into the politics as well. But I want to focus more on how COVID is being received, how colleges are handling it, what they're doing with students, testing, how school's going, how are classes being taught, stuff like that. So Brian, if you want to kick us off on that, go for it.
So first off, so I know it's been a lot going on with COVID and everything, but right now, like the schools are going crazy. Like there's been confirmed that students are not having focusing in school, which is like very concerning. And there's been a report that this past week that URI decided to cancel spring break for next year, and it got pretty much not only me heated, but like also other students upset because like spring break was like the chance for everyone at least join their at least 1 week of free time and everything. Like, they want to go travel and everything. But one thing I do notice is that like the college does not want to experience the time that we experienced last year where we had a 2 week of spring break, which is still good, but like it had to use that time to like get everything ready to go fully online. And right now our goal is to not do that, because I know people say that, oh, online school I can't do online school. It doesn't help me to learn. Like, they want to learn in school in person because the in-person teaching helps them better than online teaching.
But Brian, this is also, I'm going to kind of turn this around on you. But when you're mentioning about how people are kind of pissed that spring break's been taken away from us, and I get it, I'm kind of pissed too. But in the same vein, the reason for that obviously is, health concerns, because people are going to travel to God knows where. Last spring break, when this was all starting, when we were still learning about it, I remember very vividly reading about all of the idiots that were traveling down to Florida, going to beaches, being with other people at bars, came back and spread it to everyone else. And I think that's what we're trying to avoid. Do you agree with the decision of them making spring break go away? Or do you think it's something that we could kind of learn to cope with and get these new, maybe preventative measures where it could still be safe for us to go on spring break and then come back? What do you think?
Well, it's just like there's gonna be times where like you want to see someone that has gone somewhere for college, but like you want to go there, but just to see him for at least a week and then come back. But then at the same time, like knowing that you're going somewhere that's hot spotted, like you kind of have to quarantine for 2 weeks, and like if your class are if your class are in person, you kind of can't go back in school until you have to quarantine, or just make sure you get tested. If you get the negative test, like, you're safe to go. But at the same time, you got to keep yourself safe, safe from others.
Right. I think the main issue was, schools were worried about the kids traveling to somewhere and coming back, which is something that we were able to avoid first semester because they, factor in all these kids that are going to be traveling home for Thanksgiving. But then the school said, hey, we'll just stop there since we've had the majority of the semester and then force everything to be online for the rest of it. I think the issue comes with spring breaks being so early on in the semester that we can't really afford to send everyone home and then just say, hey, let's do the rest of the semester online. It's not worth it. So I think that's something that, the school had to make a decision about.
I think, first of all, that that eliminating spring break this year was a really smart move. Especially, I do have some more faith in URI's leadership right now than I did honestly coming in terms of how they're handling COVID. Given that you're actually seeing our infection rate, which was as high as 4% last week, has gone down to 2%, I believe, at the latest. So I feel like we're doing a pretty good job at containing it over here. I'm certainly thankful about everybody working in our health services and, free COVID tests for students, of course. As far as like next year goes, I just think it's impossible right now to say where we're going to be. This could be the new normal. We could be wearing masks in public, not forever, hopefully, but for, a very long time. Or maybe things will have calmed down by then. We'll have a vaccine, things will return to normal as much as they can. But I think caution is definitely the best path to take in the meantime. So I'm pretty much content with following the school's line. And I've no grievances whatsoever about not having spring break and then, getting out of school for summer a week earlier.
I agree. I believe that spring break, like I know it's upsetting to some students that we're not able to have a spring break, but in order for COVID to slow down, we're gonna have to take certain precautions, which is technically sacrificing some of our spring breaks or any of us like going home and seeing people during spring break. It's gonna slow things down, and it's gonna help Corona like slow down and help students just understand the fact that we need to take certain precautions for it.
But yes, I agree with that. And before we go, there's one thing I just want to share and show that Lionel had brought up. So URI has this COVID tracker. I'm sure you can see it right now. I hope I just shared it on my screen. And you can see that they, are administering tests, how many positive cases are coming back, and that positive test rate. I'm pretty sure the positive test rate is what we're trying to look at the most. And if that number gets above a certain percentage, I think that's grounds for actually, either isolating us, sending us home, something along those lines. I'm not positive, but I think that's what I've heard, through the grapevine. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. As always, Lionel, Macy, Brian, appreciate your input on these topics. Make sure you watch that debate tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see you right back here, same place, same time next week. Take care.